Victor, glad that you're getting to share with the community. Will you give a quick kind of introduction of who you are and how you help entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so my name is Victor Pierantoni. I am a peak performance coach. I help professionals and entrepreneurs eliminate anxiety, burnout, and self-sabotage, replacing it with unshakable inner peace and confidence. That way you're able to make more money, but also enjoy the process of working in your business and learn along the way. Learn the key wisdom and lessons that you'll need to do better, not just in your business, but also in your personal life. So I like to look at things as a more holistic system. So as a peak performance coach, one thing that you and I were chatting offline here is that I like to look at business like a sport, right? The industry that you're in is the specific sport that you're in. The field is the actual business that you have. And then the ball is the attention of your customers. And there's all kinds of cool tactics and strategies that one can learn to get better at all these aspects of the game of your business. Where I specialize in is helping how you play off the field of your business so that every time you show up invigorated, you show up fulfilled and energized, able to drive home the results that you've set out for.
That's great. Yeah. And so maybe even extending that metaphor, you're kind of like, you're helping us with our business nutrition. Yes. And our business recovery and all those good things, our business training in a sense.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I like it. All right, well, let's dive in and kind of walk through some of these different stages here. Now, it's good. Okay, so we've talked through a bunch of stages up through sustainability. So we have, at the end of sustainability, we have this business that can kind of run on its own and actually continue some sustainable growth. Now, a lot of businesses, that's really where you may just want to stay. Like, that's not a bad place to keep your business. But then some businesses do want to go, hey, I want to actually scale. I've gone from, early in those early stages, I've gone from 0 to 1, and then I've gone from kind of 1 to 10, and now I want to go 10 to infinity here. And they're really trying to grow and multiply. So they're trying to serve a lot more customers and bring a lot more value, but also preserve quality and not dilute the value that they bring. And they're trying to multiply that value. What are some of the things? So there's aspects of this that kind of feel actually like adoption again a little bit, but it is multiplied out. So what are some of the questions that an entrepreneur, a founder, a business owner should be considering if they do go into the scalability stage, or maybe even whether they should go into the scalability stage? Because I think that's an important question there. And then, what are potentially some of the pitfalls for them to be aware of from a performance and mindset perspective?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. The most important thing when I think about mental and emotional health, especially of an entrepreneur, is anything that is iterative, meaning that anything that you do every day is going to have the biggest impact on your mental and emotional well-being. And at the end of the day, like, the reason why you want to achieve the goals that you have is because of how you think they're going to make you feel.
Right.
And the impact that they're going to have, which also comes back to, I will feel a certain way and when I have this kind of impact. So taking that into account, it's important to ask yourself, okay, if I did scale, how would my day change? Would I have to change the activities that I'm doing? Would I be able to keep doing the things that I love, or would I have to sacrifice a bunch of the things that I love and start doing things that drain me? Because you can scale and have like a multi-million-dollar business, but if you feel drained, exhausted, and frustrated every day, then the quality of your life is drained, exhausted, and frustrated, regardless of how many millions you have in the bank.
Yeah, and that's probably not a good trade.
No. Because you're sacrificing everything that you love and hold dear for something that you think you're supposed to have. So it's an important question to ask. Now, there's some people that you might be like, hey, when you scale, like, these are the activities that you're going to be doing. Your time is going to be spent. There's going to be a lot more PR opportunities. Like, you're going to be getting interviews. Like, this is going to, like, you're going to have a lot more influence. Is that something that you want to do? And some people are like, yes, like, sign me up yesterday for that.
Right.
And some people are like, no,
I
want
to I actually don't want that.
Yeah, like, I don't want that. Like, I still want to have my private life with my family, and I want to, like, go to soccer games and have, go on vacations and not worry about any of that stuff while still having this impact through the business that I know and love. So I think it's really important to ask yourself, like, on the scale of a single day, like, what does my average day look like? And is that the life that I want? Because your average day when you get into these different stages is going to be the biggest determinant in the quality of your life and the quality of your mental and emotional well-being, which at the end of the day is everything. Like that's how we determine whether we have a good life, a not so good life, or an extraordinary life, right? Like it's how we spend our day. It's how our spouse greets us at the door. It's how it feels when we hug our children. It's how it feels when we show up to work and change somebody's life with our product or service. Like those things that are happening every day, I think are the things that we need to consider most when it comes to, do I want to scale? Do I want to go to this level? Do I want to bring in this? Do I want to be acquired by some big company? Like, I think those are really important questions to ask.
Yeah, no, and it can be so hard though to get caught up in the like, oh, I'm almost there, and everyone's telling you like, oh, you're going to do it, and there's a lot of, even just cultural language and expectation and norm to, it's like, hey, just give it your all and go all in, and yeah, to step back and go, wait, actually, is that, again, it goes back to your comment of like, you push really, really hard and you go, oh wait, I'm on the wrong mountain, or
whoops,
or my kids are back at the bottom. I left them.
Didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, and so I think that those are really good questions to ask, and we'll probably actually kind of we'll keep these two stages actually kind of together in the same video, because I think that same thing of like saturation is after scalability, because scalability is really like it's a transitional stage where we've created sustainability, and then it's like, hey, do I want to get to saturation? And that's really what scalability is doing, is it's driving you to where it's like, okay, we have market dominance in this area. And that doesn't mean that you're Coca-Cola and you have market dominance over the globe in a certain, industry, but it might mean like, hey, in this geographic area, I have market dominance, or in this niche in this area, or with this audience, I have market dominance. So saturation can look like a lot of different things, but like to your point, it looks really different than it does at sustainability, and there's going to be costs in that gap. So even when someone thinks about like both, like you've been talking about the scalability stage of getting there, but then even like, hey, what does it look like to live in saturation? Because then you're having to reinvent with some innovation to stay at saturation mode. But also there's kind of, we talk about it being like politics, and not necessarily in the like government kind of politics, but you're managing perceptions and public opinion of things and these different thoughts and different stakeholders, and it just gets more complex. It's not just I'm helping customers anymore, that maybe you felt more in like the adoption and sustainability stages. So anything else that you'd want to call out kind of in that you've achieved saturation and you're trying to maintain saturation? Any other aspects around performance and mindset that you would want to call out in that stage?
It keeps coming back to energy. Energy is everything. If you have energy because what you're doing is energizing, then I think that's the best situation to be in, because you have the energy, you have the enthusiasm, the passion to keep going and doing what you're doing. So paying attention to whether or not you feel more energized or drained at any of these stages is a really important thing to tune into, because you can have all the skills and the capability in the world, but if you don't have the energy to sustain it, to live it, to actually execute on the things that none of it really matters. Like, you're not going to get the results that you want. It's going to fall short. You're going to feel upset about it. So paying attention to like, am I living a life and running a business that truly energizes me? And asking that at every stage, right? Scalability, and even in saturation, like, do I like this? Like, is this what I want to do right now?
Totally. Well, and there's a sense in like that sustainability that you might be more of the guiding operator, but at saturation, you might be more of like the face of the organization.
Right.
And maybe you're doing both, but that face of the organization, there's a lot of times I think a lot of founders are like, to kind of the point we were talking about before, like, oh, I don't want to be the face. I don't want to do PR releases. I don't want to do interviews. I don't want to show up at this thing. I just want to do the job. And it doesn't mean maybe your business can't get to saturation, but maybe your role changes. And that might be something to kind of consider in there, is like, so like, even if, how would you help someone think about from a mindset standpoint that that even if they perceive like, hey, I want to take this business to this level for whatever reasons, but I don't want to be in the same seat when we get there. And that can easily feel like failure, because if you've been in the top seat all along and you're like, oh, actually to take it there, it's not me sitting in that seat anymore. Any thoughts around helping people kind of renegotiate? It's kind of similar to like what we talked about maybe as around delegating and in the adoption sustainability stages. But yeah, any thoughts there of like how you might need to shift your role and how that might relate to some perceived identity in there?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think at that stage, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And it's very important at that stage to essentially keep your ego in check, because at that stage of saturation, you may need to ask yourself the question, am I the best CEO for this stage of the business? And you might not be.
Right.
And you might not even enjoy being.
Yeah, you might not want to be, even if you're like, like going back to your competencies. If I can be competent, would I actually enjoy it? Maybe yes, but maybe still no. Yeah.
Yeah, like that might not be what I want for my life. So I think it's an important question to start asking yourself, because I think at the lower levels of business, you're not wondering how you can replace like your C-suite, like, or replace yourself at the top with someone else.
No, you're not doing that usually at Discovery.
It's usually like people that are like working under you, but now you're like, oh, I'm going to hire a CEO who's like going to run things and make decisions based on my vision that I created. And like, do I want to relinquish that control? And it can be a tough conversation with yourself. And at the same time, if you have a vision for like what you've created and you're like, I think it could really impact the world in these ways if it were to grow and get the scalability, but like, I don't want to do it, but I still wanted to do that. Then that's the question of like, okay, do I maybe need to hire a CEO to run this business better than me? Like the person who's right to run things at that level enjoys it. And that's what they want to be doing. That's why they're doing it. But if you feel the pressure, the societal pressure of like, oh, I should because it's mine.
Because I started it, I founded it.
Right. But the way I like to think about ideas and philosophies, businesses, is that the ideas are not ours, right? The ideas are humanity's ideas. And as business owners, we are at one point in time, we own the idea, but then it becomes more about stewarding the ideas. And that's at least the way I see things. So if I'm going to steward an idea and I'm going to bring my clients and customers to the promised land of the promised result of the brand, then what I want to do is make sure that all the right people are in place to do that. And if I'm not the best person to be leading that charge, and I'm best in the creative idea space, then I do want someone else who's more competent and who actually does get energized by that role to go do that.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I like that stewardship mindset shift there. And that can happen obviously earlier too, but definitely really needs to happen as things grow. No, that's really good. Okay, so since we've kind of now actually walked through all the stages, is there any sort of, I mean, you kind of did this a little bit just now in talking about the events, but just thinking about kind of looking at that whole journey, any overarching themes that you want to call out, or any encouragements that you'd want to give to entrepreneurs who are kind of anywhere along that journey, but just kind of looking at it as a whole?
I think some of the most important themes, like from what we've spoken about, is knowing how to manage your energy. And you manage your energy with your choices, what you choose to engage in versus not engage in, and the activities that you do, right? So energy management, I think, is one of the most important things. And when I say energy, I mean, does whatever you're doing create a natural enthusiasm? Does it make you want to think bigger? Does it make you want to serve more? That's when you know something is energizing, because you have this abundance to give and you want to help people and you want to do more of the things that you're doing. So energy management, I think, is one of the number one things. The other thing too is be a student of your results, not your ideals. Be a student of what the market is telling you, right? If you're so attached to your ideals that you won't listen to your customer, then you're in love with your product. You're not in love with your customer. And you want to be in love with your customer and be able to fulfill those needs and really delight them and dazzle them. So I think that's a really important thing. And, understand what it is that you're here to do. And you can find what that is by doing that exercise that we talked about, going through your curiosities, finding the intersections, which are your passions, going through the problems that you see in the world, and then the ones and the themes in there, that's going to be purpose, bringing those together, bringing in what are your top strengths that have allowed you to achieve biggest things in your life. And then what is the wisdom that has guided you along the way that has made things possible for you to overcome some of the most difficult things. And when you bring those all together, you have your own personal purpose, your own reason for being. And if you use that as your decision-making filter, you will always be able to cut through the noise. You'll know who you are, and you'll know when something is an opportunity versus a distraction.
I love that. No, that is really good because there's a lot to navigate in that journey. And so those are some really helpful guiding principles there. So, well, cool. Here, as we kind of recap, just some fun facts. Okay, most impactful book that you've read in the past year.
Oh my goodness. Most
or impactful an impactful book. Maybe it doesn't have to be the premier impactful.
So I would say the most impactful book, and I studied this thing for months, was The Tao of Solomon is what it's called. So it is a book that is a reimagining of Ecclesiastes and written by a rabbi named Rami Shapiro. And this rabbi also studied a lot of Zen. He studied a lot of Taoism. So he weaves in all this perennial wisdom from different different religious faiths and different schools of thought. And he uses Ecclesiastes as this tool for helping bring together these very important truths, which are the truth of impermanence and how no matter how hard you work and how much money you make, you're never going to buy your way out of impermanence. And so you treat impermanence with a reverence and realize that everything is meaningful because it's not going to last forever. The relationships I have, the people I get to serve, the beauty and the joy in my life, I'm going to enjoy it while it's here. And rather than, one of the lines in there is better to have, one hand empty and full of joy than two hands full of toil. It's enjoy what you're doing. Yes, earn your stuff, get successful, but don't do it at the cost of your heart and your soul. So that was the most impactful book for me. And it just completely changed the way I thought about business, the way I thought about money, and the way I thought about just being able to enjoy my life and enjoy the present moments with the people I love.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. Any just kind of, if you could tell an entrepreneur kind of one thing when it comes to mindset and performance, what would that be?
One thing.
Just one.
If you remember nothing else from this interview, remember this. Start your day with what is most meaningful. If that is all you do, it will change and shape your day in a very profound way that leaves you feeling empowered and getting things done at the same time. You're going to feel empowered, enthusiastic, and productive by just doing that. Just starting your day with 30 to 120 minutes of the most meaningful thing that you can think of for your life in this.
I love that. That's really good. Well, I appreciate, Victor. It really does come through that you have both spent a large amount of time considering and forming your insight and your understanding, but also that pairs with your desire to really see people thrive. And so appreciate you taking the time to share that with our audience, with people who are at all these different kind of stages of business and trying to grow and trying to, both grow their business, but also hopefully grow their impact, which is some of, what we've been talking about here. So really appreciate you sharing. I'm glad to be able to bring this to the community.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor to get to do this interview.